What up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, welcome. This is probably a great introductory to who I am. My name is Jish the Dish, and today, as you can tell from the title of this video, the dish of the day, Resident Evil 2, specifically the remake. Now, if you've been watching my playthrough, then you already know I had an absolute fucking blast playing Resident Evil 2. But after finally finishing Leon's story and spending around like 10 hours playing the game, I wanted to sit down and give you my full thoughts on the game. Going into Resident Evil 2, I honestly didn't have super high expectations. After playing Resident Evil 0 and 1, I figured Resident Evil 2 was gonna be straight fucking buns. I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was, you know what I mean? And after finishing the game, I can confidently say that the Resident Evil 2 remake is my favorite Resident Evil game that I've played so far. So today, I wanted to talk about what made this game so good, and I wanted to talk about some things that I think could have been done better, which isn't a lot, to be honest, and give it an overall rating. The first thing that stood out to me was graphics. The second I started playing, I could immediately tell that this was a huge jump from Resident Evil 0 and 1. Everything looked better. I'm talking everything looked absolutely so much better. The characters, the environments, the animations, it all just looked 10 times better. So that's as simple as I can put it. No glaze. Honestly, I was just impressed by how much work they put into the game. One thing I kept finding myself doing was obviously I didn't show this in the walkthrough, but I would look around because there was so much detail in the environments that was never there before in previous games. And before I got deep into the story, I was already thinking about how this game differed from the previous games that I've played before. Now, the story. Oh, chef's kiss. The story in this game is way more intriguing and way more interesting. You get to find out a whole lot more, and it doesn't stop. And that's what hooked me a lot in this game. With Resident Evil 2, it was a lot more inclusive with the information that you were learning. Whereas before, in past Resident Evil games that I've played, Resident Evil 0 and 1, there wasn't a whole lot of story. 95, maybe 80 to 95% of the fucking game was just puzzles, which, don't get me wrong, it's okay for a Resident Evil game, but shit sucked. The game starts with Leon Kennedy arriving at Raccoon City for his first day as a police officer, which, side note by the way, he was told to quote unquote stay away from Raccoon City.
This place will eat you alive if you aren't careful.
Yeah, well, I was supposed to start last week, and I got a call to stay away.
So, W employee for coming in, I guess. I don't know. The city is basically falling apart. People are infected. Monsters are everywhere. And nobody really knows what the fuck is happening. As the game goes on, you start uncovering more information about the virus, Umbrella, the company who makes the virus, and everything that's just been happening behind the scenes. And honestly, this is one of my favorite parts of the game. I was constantly interested in learning more, and I honestly think that that's what Resident Evil perfected this time around. Every time I found a new file, discovered a new area, or got more information about what happened to the city, I wanted to keep going, which that's pretty hard for games to do nowadays. The story kept me invested the entire way through. And compared to Resident Evil 0 and Resident Evil 1, I thought the storytelling was so much stronger, like on a different level stronger. In Resident Evil 0 and 1, you were lucky to get new lore every 5 puzzles that you did. And I'm not even trying to be dramatic here. I can honestly say that I got bored really quick with Resident Evil 1, and that's a huge part on why I didn't finish the game. Another thing I also really liked was the characters. Obviously, Leon was great. He's the character we're playing as, and watching him go from rookie cop to somebody surviving a fucking ass blast against a car. It was really cool to see. But honestly, Ada Wong was probably my second favorite character. She was smart, confident, and honestly just a complete fucking badass. My least favorite character was probably Annette Birkin, which, if you guys know the game, I don't really have to say too much, but basically a quick rundown on who Annette Birkin is. She's a fucking scientist that made the viruses for Umbrella. She caused a whole fuck ton of problems. If you watched my recent playthrough on Resident Evil 2, you're gonna know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about her being annoying. So, I'm not gonna get too into it because I'm just gonna get fucking aggravated. Again, I don't hate her or anything, but compared to everybody else, she was probably the character I least cared about. I thought the ending was fucking awesome. The boss fight was great. There were some twists I enjoyed at the end, and it felt like a satisfying conclusion to Leon's story. When the credits rolled, I felt complete, you know, like there's no cliffhanger really. It felt like a complete experience. Now let's talk about the meat of the sandwich. Pause! Now let's talk about horror, because I'm not gonna lie, this game got me a few fucking times. I'm not gonna lie. The jump scares were good, but honestly, that's the thing that scared me the most wasn't the jump scares. It was specifically the tyrant, Mr. X. This big motherfucker. Now, for context, I hate being chased. I don't know where this fear stems from. Maybe some fucked up memory from when I was a kid, but not being able to see how close whoever is chasing me is from me is petrifying. If anyone knows the specific term or phobia of that fear, please let me know in the comments, because I would really like to know. But basically, this fear doesn't only affect me in real life. I also hate being chased in games as well. And Resident Evil 2 knew exactly how to use that shit against me. The first time Mr. X showed up, I immediately knew he was going to be a fucking problem.
Whoa! Who the fuck is that?
Who the fuck is that?
Who the fuck actually is that? Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Oh my god, I'm out. Fuck this shit.
And I was right. Call me fucking Houdini in this bitch, bro. Trying to complete objectives while hearing this giant bum stomping around the building looking for you was incredibly stressful. There were so many moments where I'd hear his footsteps and I would immediately start panicking. The worst part was you couldn't actually fucking see him. You just hear him. And then you're sitting there wondering where he is and whether he's about to come around the corner or something. And I think that created some of the most intense moments in the entire game for me. Now, I will say that as the game went on, some of the horror started taking a backseat, and the game became more focused on the story, the lore, and the characters, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But I do think the police station section was easily the scariest part of the game. For me, at least. The gameplay was honestly just fun. That's probably the simplest way I can put it. The combat felt good, the controls felt good, the puzzles were fun to solve, and at no point did I feel that the game was becoming repetitive. And to add on, there wasn't really a section that dragged on for too long for me either. Which I can't say the same about Resident Evil 0 and 1. The pacing felt really solid from the beginning to end. Every time I got through one objective, the game gave me another reason to keep going forward, which was a complete change from the first two games where when you completed a puzzle, nothing happened, and you would have to fucking walk through the entire map to see what you unlocked. And that's a huge reason why I enjoyed Resident Evil 2 as much as I did. There weren't any mechanics that annoyed me. There really wasn't any moments that I was frustrated either. Everything just felt polished. One thing I don't think gets enough credit in this game is the sound design. The sound design in this game is really good, especially when it comes to building tension, for sure. The best example I can give is Mr. X. Hearing those footsteps somewhere in the building while you're trying to focus on something else is absolutely terrifying. Your heart starts racing because you know he's nearby, you just don't know where. And that uncertainty creates so much tension throughout the game. The voice acting was also really solid. Nobody felt out of place, the characters felt believable, and that helped me get invested into the game and into the story even more. Now, as much as I love this game, there is one thing I wish it did a little better. I wanted more information about Mr. X. Like, why was Mr. X specifically after us? And what makes tyrants different from the other fuckers that we had to come across in the game? The game gives you some information, but personally, I kind of wanted more. And to be honest, that's honestly my biggest criticism. And when that's your biggest criticism, you're probably doing a lot of fucking things right. Now, before I give you my ratings, this is what the scores mean to me. Obviously, 10 being masterpiece, 9 amazing, 8 great, 7 good, 6 above average, 5 average, 4 below average, 3 bad, 2 very fucking bad, and 1 shit, straight buns, terrible. Fuck out of here. So now that you got a better understanding of my meaning of the numbers, let's break down the ratings. Now, story, I gotta give it a 7 out of 10. The story was actually interesting. It wasn't boring at all. There was always something new to learn about what's happening, and the characters made the story better for sure. When it came to horror, you got your little jump scares here and there, and the section of the game where you had to run away from the monster was a pretty good horror aspect added to the game. To be honest, nothing really stands out from the crowd compared to the other games that I've played, to be honest. And after a while into the game, the scariness kind of just fades, which is why I have horror rated a 5 out of 10. Gameplay was honestly pretty smooth. I hadn't run into any bugs. There wasn't any confusing mechanics to learn. It was all pretty nice and all flat out simple. So again, nothing that really stood out. So again, gameplay would have to be a 5 out of 10 for me. The sound design for this game was pretty well made. Specifically having to run away from Mr. X, hearing his heavy footsteps kind of just float in the back of your head was what made this sound design pop. And I think that's what stood out a little more than usual to me. And the voice acting was pretty good and believable. So sound design gets a 6 out of 10 from me. After adding up all my ratings, my overall score for Resident Evil 2 Remake is 5.8 out of 10. As of right now, my Resident Evil rankings look like this. Number 1 is Resident Evil 2 Remake, obviously. Number 2 is Resident Evil 0. It was way better than Resident Evil 1, and obviously Resident Evil 1 is number 3. And I know some of you motherfuckers are going to disagree with that ranking, but again, this is based entirely on my experience playing these games on the channel, so fucking deal with it. And again, Resident Evil 2 is comfortably sitting in first place. So, was Resident Evil 2 worth playing? Absolutely. If you're a fan of horror games, story-driven games, puzzles, or just games that just keep you invested from beginning to end, I think Resident Evil 2 Remake is absolutely worth your time. For me, the thing I'll remember the most is me being chased by Mr. X trying to fucking focus on the one objective I'm trying to complete. Oh! Oh my god!
You are my sunshine.
Oh my god. That alone created some of the most stressful and memorable moments I've had in a horror game. Overall, Resident Evil 2 gets a 5.8 out of 10 from me, and it takes the number 1 spot in my Resident Evil rankings. Now it's time to move on to Resident Evil 3 and see if it can live up to what Resident Evil 2 delivered. Also, side note, I know this video differed from the other videos on my channel, and instead of cramming my ratings for the game into 4 to 5 minutes at the end of the gameplay, I'd rather just make a separate video focusing mainly on my review and rating on it. So if you enjoyed this review and you want more reviews like this, please let me know down in the comments below. If you like this video, hit the like button. And if you're new here and haven't already, make sure you go hit that subscribe button and the bell notification to never miss another video. And to see me live, you can catch me on Twitch every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at Jish the Dish.